Okay, you guys are live.
We are live. Well, good to be back with you guys. Sorry we were gone last week. Actually, I'm not sorry at all.
I know.
We were in Alaska for my birthday.
It was awesome.
Un
It was amazing, actually.
Unreal.
It was amazing.
Generous Catholic family let us use their dry cabin on a lake, meaning a cabin with no indoor plumbing or water or showers, and that she was a champ.
I rock that.
She did.
Okay. I like to glamp, and
She
that was
camped.
like kind of
Legit.
glamping, but I will say I pulled it together and I rocked that.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. They had jet skis. I had fun with the kids on the lake.
That was cool.
We brought 7 of the 8 kiddos up there with us. Our oldest had to hang back. Then went up to Denali National Park.
Just stop for a second. I want you to imagine 7 children on an airplane and packing 7 children to go to Denali on a park. It was insane, but it was really good. But that was a lot. But God was with us.
7 kids in a van for about 1,000 miles of drive time.
It was good family time.
Yeah, it was. So we're putting 4 of them up for adoption after the trip. So if you're no kidding.
Wow.
But yeah, we got to go to Denali, which is awesome, seeing reindeer and doll sheep and moose and all that jazz. Then came down, highlight of the trip, we got to go to a grizzly bear infested lake where we saw, no kidding, 20 to 25 grizzly bears within almost arm's length from our boat while we were salmon fishing, caught 50 pounds of salmon. I mean, it was, then there were like, what, 30 bald eagles swirling around. And it was just
stealing the standard
America.
for the bears. I mean, yeah.
It was absolute heaven. So we just got the salmon showed up 2 days ago. So Crystal and I are gonna be eating like grizzly bears for the next month or so. But it was just the best birthday of my life, thanks to her being willing to go along for the ride. And so it was just an epic trip. Got to go to the Glacier View car launch, which if you really want American culture, this is how to do it, because it's daylight all the time, you know, this time of year almost in Alaska. Can't really do fireworks, so they do the next closest thing. They launch 38 cars off of a 300-foot cliff down towards thousands of people cheering for this patriotic event. And it was epic. It was so much fun. The kids absolutely loved it. We almost died, but it was just a lot of fun. So
He's not kidding. He's not kidding.
one got a little closer to comfort, but they did have a yellow safety rope that helped ensure people's safety of the cars.
Like a little fishing line rope. I mean, it's something seriously to look up. It's like something you've never seen, and
yeah, just YouTube like
you'll see.
Alaska car launch Glacier View 2025. We were front row. Watch the video. We're like on there like 4 times, but
he's on there 4 times. And this is not like a normal 4th of July. Okay, this is like completely another planet 4th of July, but it was still unbelievable and very patriotic. I mean, they had these huge, army like airplanes.
The video and
it was amazing, but it was different. That's the word. It was different.
It's very kind of.
Those are my words. It was different.
I can probably show the actual video.
I was actually very happy until a car like came launching towards all of us, and then I got freaked out. And after that, I was not having it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find this. You keep talking here for a second.
Whatever.
This is gold. So okay, here we go.
So at one point, literally, we're taking photos, and all of the kids. I think Jason put that one online, and we're all holding the salmon, taking this family photo, right? And just a minute, and
okay.
And we're taking this family photo, and we all get in the boat, and we're on a bog, and you know bogs, they sink, right?
Floating bog. It's like a
floating bog,
soil that floats on a lake.
And they're all taking photos. They all get in, and Jason's still on the bog with one of our younger ones, and he's like looking at the edge, but it sinks, and everyone's looking at him because it's like, be careful because it can sink down if you get too close to the edge. And I just kind of turn and look over everybody's head, and no joke, I see a grizzly bear,
male grizzly,
charging, running towards us. I mean, literally, and he was not far, and I freaked out. I'm serious, like, scream, bear, Jason, get in the boat. Everyone turns, the guys are freaking out, and I mean, he came out of nowhere, but he didn't, I don't think he was after us, but all the salmon and all the like pieces I think they were throwing, because then he jumped in the
water.
But that was a moment, y'all. I mean, that was a serious moment.
And then at one point we were fishing in this little creek area up against this creek in the lake, and there were 9 grizzly bears, 3 moms with 6 cubs.
So cute.
And a male boar grizzly comes in. Now the male boars will eat the little cubs, and so Mama means business. Crystal enjoyed this, so she puts the cubs behind her. Not Crystal, the
He was
mother
like,
bear.
I thought he was gonna literally kill the baby bears in front of my children, and my daughter's holding on. It's like, Mommy, are they okay?
Which they
And I'm
will.
like,
The fathers, the
and you're
older
like-
siblings will eat their little siblings or children.
my heart was
And
it was terrible.
and so the mother puts the little ones behind her and then stares down the male. And then she starts popping her jaw, which is a sound that a grizzly makes when it's like, let's go.
Like watching
And,
a nature show, I can't fast forward.
And it gets in the face of the male. They start growling and showing off their teeth. And at one point, she swatted. I mean, it was so cool. And the male's like, I'm out of here. Forget
Yeah,
this. I
she's
don't need
like,
this. I'll keep my face instead of getting lunch. So, but it was epic. So, okay, I'm going to try to show this. Maybe we
I
can.
don't think you can.
zoom in. I think we
Just
can do it.
just send it. Just send it to me.
Send it to
Send
him.
it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can just text
yeah,
it.
yeah,
and
yeah,
You aren't
yeah.
gonna
throw it
believe
up
this.
there.
Josiah, you will not believe this.
So Josiah text. Okay, let me see if this video goes through. So this is the moment the Everett family was nearly crushed by
I need
a
to post
flying
this. I mean, it was nuts.
vehicle. So it's slowly loading and heading over to you, Josiah. So it's halfway loading, but our viewers will definitely want to see this just for the theological implications of why guardian angels exist. So if you got 8 kids, you have like an extra.
I'm gonna
guardian
be
angels.
serious when I say I'm not kidding. Right before this happened, is this the actual video? Right before this happened, I literally prayed that the Blessed Mother would send holy warrior angels to put a barrier between us and the cars, and that she would just protect us and the angels would protect us. And 30 seconds later, no joke, 30 seconds, with all my heart, I believe the angels were with us. I really believe God hears me, answers my prayers, and she dispatches her angels. I believe that with all my heart, especially after that happened.
So the video is like 90% loaded and kind of stuck. Should I just flip the phone around and if they can see it, they can see it?
No, because you'll rack focus to the phone.
It'll
Okay.
download.
So
We'll
just
get
just
We'll
send it
put
to me and
out.
we'll get it later.
So it's sending
Either
when it
that or-
shows up on your end, just interrupt us in the middle of someone's question and we'll throw it up on the video. So,
It was crazy.
but anyway, that's a windy intro, but it was a blessed week, back refreshed and ready to take questions. So Josiah, how was your past week?
It was really good actually, Summer in Steubenville is special. First Friday was on July 4th, so that means there was a huge street festival and then and then fireworks. And I got to
Nice.
take photos of the fireworks and
Aw,
then
nice.
the cigar lounge was open late, so I played pool with my friends. We have a pool addiction. They put a pool table in the basement of Chesterton's and we all quickly
Oh,
developed
that's
an
cool.
addiction to billiards.
Nice.
It's a good thing they don't let us gamble on it.
Yep. They're worse addictions.
So yeah, so we've been doing that and yeah, it's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Because we weren't here last week, I think we probably have a little backlog of questions to run through today. And just want to again
Yeah.
remind anyone watching, if you just go to the link in the description of this video on the Discord server, you can call in through that and actually talk to us on the show, answer your questions, or you can send in your question at live@chastity.com and you can send it in that way. And then also just want to thank all the people that support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Jason Everett. The community of supporters there makes this whole show possible. The equipment, the cameras, the mic, everything's just from the patrons. So if this show's helpful to you or ministry has been in the past, it's just a blessing for those who join Patreon, help support what we're doing and help grow the program. So with that, Josiah, what do we got in terms of, the car launch video looks like it successfully was delivered to you.
Okay. Well, I have to send it to your computer and stuff, so
Okay.
stand by.
Figure
Yeah,
that
yeah,
out.
so it should be there. So let
Yeah.
us know when you want to roll that price.
Well, first of all, we did it. We did it successfully. First try. We've multi-streamed, so we are live also on twitch.tv and TikTok.
Nice.
So we normally say if you want to call in or email us, it's in the description, but if you're on Twitch, it's in the pinned comment, and if you're on TikTok, it's in the chat, in the live chat. So
Okay. There's now officially
Um,
wholesome content on TikTok. So
yeah. So anyway. So first question. We got this question last week when we were here with Joey, but I told this person I would save it for you because I figured this would be something you would have some good advice on. So the question is, how do you address family members that have transitioned or in the process of getting surgeries and asked to be called a different name? More importantly, how do I explain this to my young child? we want their aunts and uncles in their lives if possible, but this is a huge barrier. The rest of the family calls the biological uncle your aunt, and our daughter knows the biological uncle as your Aunt Amelia.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, not an easy one here. If you are the parent, your primary responsibility is the salvation of your own children, above and beyond extended relatives. And what I mean by that is there comes an age where it is age appropriate for the kids to understand the reality of gender dysphoria and what that is. And you can speak them in a more frank way. The younger ones, it can sometimes bring unnecessary levels of confusion into their life that don't need to be wrestled with at a particular level of intellectual and spiritual development. And so if you decide, hey, we're going to show up and we're going to love this person and treat them with dignity and respect and kindness, and almost try to perplex them with your kindness by treating them as a human being, but you don't want your children to be present, that's not an unloving gesture. It's a way to say, look, we love you, but we're loving you with certain boundaries. And they might not enjoy that or appreciate that, but I really think that if you don't know how to speak the truth to somebody in love, then they're going to resent you so much more years down the road, when there really wasn't anyone in their life that could toe the line in terms of charity with clarity. I know of one person who detransitioned, and they said what really did it for them is that they had one family member who just wouldn't lie to them, would not entertain the delusion that you can be a sex that you are not, that gender identity can override biological sex. And they said, I love you, but I'm just going to shoot straight with you that I don't believe that it's possible. I believe that your experience of gender dysphoria is very real, and I understand that that's a cause of great stress, perhaps. And I love you, and I want to treat you with the love of Christ. But part of love for me is not to have false compassion, not to have misguided mercy. And so I would encourage you, when it comes to using the name, now sometimes a name a person chooses to transition to is kind of androgynous, neither male nor female. We were at I believe it was the store when we were up in Alaska, and one of the salesperson you could see had a name tag that was neither male nor female, and they were trying to be somewhat non-binary. And so if you're using a person's name and let's say it's neither male nor female, you're not necessarily endorsing the ideology that they can become another sex, although there oftentimes are very deep stories behind why they don't feel safe presenting as this sex or that sex. And so when it comes to using their names, one thing you could do is sometimes if they're like, no, I want you to call me Susan instead of Sam or whatever, try to see if there's a middle ground nickname that you could go with that wouldn't feel offensive to them, because for some of them, to hear the name, their birth name, that aligns with their biological sex triggers a lot of trauma in them. They call it dead naming. And it's like, look, you don't even respect me enough to use my chosen name. You're dead naming me by calling me this name. But there's power in a name when a parent who has the authority by God to name their child, when that's usurped and taken away from the parent, and then they take on a name that's contrary to reality, it's a tough balance to strike. It's like, no, you're Sam, whether you like it or not. That's going to typically just incinerate that relationship. But if you just go hook, line, and sinker, hey, whatever you want to be, you do you, and I'll just go along with the party. To me, that's not love. It's a lack of love, of being willing to tell them, hey, I love you and I respect you, but I respect you enough to be honest with you. And that I don't feel comfortable, because part of me of loving someone is not lying to them. And I feel that if I were to use that word to describe you, that I'm being actually dishonest with you. Is there maybe a nickname, middle ground, some middle ground that we can strike where I'm not trying to rub your nose in anything by insisting on your biological name, but is there, and hopefully if you enter into a dialogue with them, they'll be able to see, okay, they're not just trying to just disrespect me and dead name me and throw, rub my nose in something. They do respect me. They're willing to have a mature conversation with me. You might find that this doesn't work. I find that sometimes speaking with individuals who experience gender dysphoria is like treating a burn victim. That if I were to touch a burn victim like this, you could have this huge reaction. Whereas if you touch someone who doesn't have that scar tissue, they don't. And so there's sometimes an extraordinary level of sensitivity that needs to come into play. And so try to keep that in mind. Try to perplex them with love, with charity, talking to them about everything in their life. Oh, how's this going in your life? And how's work? And how's this? And da 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 da. Enter into them, because if we reduce them to nothing but their proclaimed gender identity, if that's the big issue, it's like, well, wait a minute, what about this person's hobbies? What about this person's intellectual gifts? What about their job, their sports, their loves, their movies, their gifts? Like, let's take an interest in the whole person instead of every time we get together we have some family debate about gender dysphoria. That kind of reduces them to the subject of gender, which is common in that population, because 42% of them who identify as trans actually meet the criterion for an autism diagnosis. And one of the characteristic traits of autism is an excessive level of interest in a particular subject with a tremendous amount of dislike for any external interference into that subject of interest. And so they tend to latch on and be very black and white in particular things, and tend to have a very difficult time with nuance. Now, this is not to say anyone who identifies as trans is autistic, but a disproportionately large part of them are, because only 1% of the general population is autistic otherwise. And so keep these in mind. There may be other layers at play that may create a reason for why they feel nuance is difficult to understand, and why they might have such a rigid attitude when it comes to any disagreement with their opinions. But be that firm voice, that tender voice of love, speaking the truth. And you might not win an argument, and that's not the goal, but the win is to realize, okay, this person, they do love me, but they disagree with me. I was told that if people disagree with me, they hate me. This person seems like an outlier. Try to be that outlier with love and truth.
Josiah, can you clarify? It was the uncle, correct? Was it the uncle?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is the thing. At the end of the day, as parents, it is your right, and at all cost, you protect your children's innocence, period. And if this is going to jeopardize, confuse their innocence, that is something that you need to protect them from, period, family member or not. Yes, as an adult, you approach them with love. It's not something maybe you agree with. I totally get that. But at the end of the day, your kids come first, and protecting them and where they're at and their view on life. And so to bring that in is really kind of, I think, unnecessary, especially at certain ages where that is the decision of the uncle, okay? But that is outside of your home, and you have every right to keep that outside of your home. And that's fine. You respect that decision, or you God bless them, you pray for them. But at the end of the day, you have the right to decide when you are going to expose your children to that kind of a lifestyle, and do not feel bad for having boundaries with these things. And you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to apologize for it. It is your right. It is your duty as parents, and that is okay. And because they want to have a different lifestyle than what you choose does not mean you need to bow down to it, give into it, or conform to it, because that was their choice. But you decide what comes in and out of your home and what you expose your children to. And not to be harsh on the uncle, but at the end of the day, it's your right as a parent to protect them, and that's what I would do.
Yeah, and when the time comes, this is a teachable moment.
Yes.
To be able to explain how God created us male and female, but there is something called gender dysphoria, and what that actually means, that a person feels a sense of disconnect from the sex that God created them to be. And, some people feel this in themselves, but accept the fact that God made them male or female, where other people try to present as a sex that they are not. And just explain what this is, that this is a mental health issue, but we love these individuals, and we want to treat them with kindness and compassion, and really drive that home, so that you're giving the kids the truth, the formation in human anthropology at an age-appropriate level.
Yeah, but you can be unapologetic in protecting your children, but that's my that's my
the primary responsibility is not only the education but the evangelization of the children, and you can't evangelize a child if you're unwilling to speak the truth.
Good stuff, guys. All right, here's the video of the car
this is
launch.
the car launch, July 4th, Glacier View, Alaska. Here it comes. Is there volume?
No, there's not.
Okay, here you go.
Literally. And that was one out of 38 or 40 cars.
Yeah, so that's how to celebrate our freedom. I think that's what the founding fathers had in mind.
They're screaming, yelling, 4th of July.
Much fun. So
Yes.
we want to just expose our children to as much culture as possible. So
I didn't know what to expect when I got
What do you
there, to
think,
be
Josiah?
honest.
That's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm a
38
sucker
of them.
for tradition though, so
yeah,
You need to
brightly
look it up,
colored
Josiah.
fire
You
in the
won't believe it.
sky.
Yeah. You won't believe it. It's crazy.
pretty epic.
Yeah.
So back
That's
to
awesome.
theology, apologetics, chastity, and those things. That was a lovely intermission, though.
Yes. Okay. I've been growing in chastity more now because I've gotten a job this summer and I am busy. However, for hours without it, I have these lustful, tempting thoughts that come into my head about a specific young woman who I go to college with. I lift weights and fear that due to increased testosterone, I will always have this intense sexual urge. I want to potentially pursue her when I've grown more in virtue, but I fear these lustful thoughts may get in the way of pursuing her virtuously.
Okay. Keep lifting weights. Keep exercising. It's really important and a very healthy way to burn off some masculine energy in a good way. So do not stop exercising. Take care of your body. Take care of your soul. Don't see that as the root of the issue, because you could sit on your couch all day and you're probably going to have 10 times as many temptations. Because I remember there was a saint who said, he said, I believe it was Saint Robert Bellarmine that said, flee idleness, for no one is exposed to more temptations than he who has nothing to do. And so, the idleness is really the workshop of the devil. And so get out there and do work, get out there and do service work, go pray, get out, keep doing, keep up the activity. Now, in terms of the specific temptation that you're experiencing for this lady, a lot of times, this desire arises because you feel drawn towards beauty now, but you don't have a strategy for what to do with it. And if you don't know if you got no strategy in place, I remember Father Louis Solcha's a priest who helped us get ready for marriage and was there at our wedding day. He said so much of the spiritual life is about strategy. And thought on that, like when I played Little League baseball as a 7-year-old or whatever, you don't have a strategy. Like you're just in the outfield, like chewing on your mitt and like thinking about dinosaurs and and then someone hits the ball to you and like you're digging up an anthill or whatever and it rolls out to you and then you pick up the ball like, what do I do? And then you just look around and like you just look at who's screaming at you and waving their hands and you just throw it to them and you're done. And no strategy and just go back out and do whatever. By the time I got to play college baseball, it was very different. I'm in the outfield still, but now I know, okay, we've got a left-handed batter. I got to scoot a little bit this way in the outfield, and we've got a runner on first base. So if the ball comes to me in the air, I have to throw to second base. And if it comes to me on the ground, I got to throw to third base because if it comes to me in the air, I get him out, but he might tag up and get to second. Like all these thoughts going through your head before the pitch is even thrown. If that's not in your head and you don't know what to do before the play even starts, you're just going to be sitting on the bench. And so in the same respect, as we develop in maturity in the spiritual life, we need to have concrete strategy. So next day you're at work and you're sitting there or not at work and you get that thought about that girl. Don't do I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. Like that, That's just stuffing. It's just repressing. It's just like, no. It's the right act of the will of just wanting to resist temptation, and that's good. But it's like, okay, let's look in my heart. Okay, what's going on in here? I have this craving to be united to beauty. Where did that come from? The devil? No, that's giving the devil way too much credit. That came from the Blessed Trinity because he's the only ultimate fulfillment of that. And her beauty, as all women's are, is just a fragment of the infinite. But we get kind of hung up on the fragment instead of allowing it to pierce us and lead our hearts up to God. So what do you do? Okay, I've got this temptation. I'm thinking about this girl. I'm thinking of those sexual things. God, thank you for the beauty that you gave to her. Thank you for making her a woman. Thank you for making me a man. Thank you for the desires that you gave me to unite myself to beauty. But God, I lift up my desires to you right now, and I place them before your heart, and I ask you, untwist in my heart what is prone to selfishness and lust and wanting to use her and just reduce her to a collection of body parts. Help me to see her full dignity is a woman. And I'm going to take a moment now that I'm thinking about it, I want to love her right now. I'm going to pray Hail Mary for her. I'm just going to intercede for her. I'm going to ask God that you send her grace. And what you're doing is you're responding to her beauty with love instead of having this hyper scrupulous neurotic fear that if you experience any sexual impulse, you're forever offending God and you're just this walking abomination because you have hormones. It's like, no, that's the sure path to absolute neurosis and psychosis. You've got to realize, no, John Paul II said the sexual urge is a gift from God. So, but we've got to realize I don't need to sit here and shame the urge. I need to tame the urge, like a horse that could, be used for great destruction if I can't tame that thing, or it could be an amazing thing when a horse is actually tamed to win races and fight battles or whatever. And so you have this great drive, like this massive, thoroughbred horse, and it's your job to be the master of it, or otherwise it will master you. And so just pause. Don't lose your peace. Stay in your peace. And turn your heart to God instead of thinking, oh my gosh, God's disappointed I had a sexual thought. No, cut that out and just say, God, here's what I'm thinking. God, you gave me all these hormones. You made her look like that, and she keeps coming to my mind. And God's like, yes, and I want you to learn how to love her, and not every thought of this woman is from hell. I gave her beauty, and who knows, maybe she might be intended for you one day as a girlfriend or spouse or whatever, but maybe it's someone else's future wife. Just pray for her future vocation. And by doing this, you're loving her instead of lusting after her. And I think if you persevere in doing this, it's training you in loving her without her even knowing that she's on your mind. Other thoughts?
You seem like a disciplined person to be working out, and it seems like it's a consistent thing. And if you're that disciplined, this is obviously a tactic the evil one's trying to come at you with. It's a weakness, so he knows it's there. So honestly, I'd go at it with maybe a day of just fasting from something. Just cut the serpent's head off. Fast for her, or fast for these lustful thoughts against the spirit of lust, and see where you're at after that. Because there was something I really struggled with, and it kept coming back, and I'm like, oh, it's here, and I would try to fight it or just not think about it. And it was when every time it would come, I'm like, Jesus, I give this to you. Every time, just Jesus, I give this to you. Jesus, I give this to you. And I just would say it. And sometimes I had to say it out loud. And the more I prayed into it, the less the devil wanted to deal with it, because that would affect him. That would hurt him. So that's what we want to do. We want to kind of go after what is happening. And I mean, faith and fear both require us to believe in something that is not something we can see. It's something that's controlling us, though, in a way, or something that we want, like your faith. It's a big part of your life, but you have to decide what you're going to do. So instead of going after this in a fearful manner or fearful way of thinking, do it with faith. And that's where you're powerful. And we forget to operate where we're powerful and where Jesus is with us in that grace, and just slay those demons, slay those spirits that come after you with the weapons that the church has given us.
Yeah, and name them, in the name of Jesus, I bind and rebuke any spirit of lust. That you're actually naming it, because you have authority over the demons. Christ gave it to you, and over your own body, over your own soul, and you can rebuke them and you can bind them. This is not simply the property and the authority of an exorcist to do those things. You have authority over your own soul and body. And so it's okay to bind and rebuke those things in the name of Jesus. Do those things and realize that resistance, this from the weight room, resistance builds strength. If you're doing bench and you don't put any plates on and you're just repping out with 45, I'm going to do 3 sets of 12 of 45 pound, you're not going to get anywhere. But now put some 45-pound plates on there, maybe a couple 25s. Now you're up to 185. Now do a dozen reps there. Now that type of resistance over time is going to build strength. And so your resistance to these temptations is building strength in you. And with the Christian life, chastity isn't so much about just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. If anything, it's about realizing our weakness and our dependency upon God. And so when we realize that, instead of thinking, I just got to pull myself up on my bootstraps, we're calling on the name of Jesus. We're asking for divine intervention, asking that he would teach us how to properly love. Then these moments of temptation can be transformed into acts of intercession, and you can grow with grace with every opportunity.
Would you say, Jason, that as you get deeper in your spiritual life, it really is about we stick with our prayers, we go to mass, we do what we're supposed to, we get strong. We want to get strong in our faith, but it's also about just surrendering. When you really start developing that spiritual life, it's actually more of like just surrender to
Yeah.
God's will, right? It's not as much of like, I've got to be strong, I've got to do this, I've got to build, but it's more of like a surrender.
Yeah, there's a
when-
peacefulness to it. It's
Yeah.
like when Saint Gemma Galgani was sitting in the convent, I believe, with her spiritual director. The devil apparently appeared in a biological form in the room as some like type of panther-looking beast or whatever, and it kind of crawled in, and the spiritual director's freaked out. And Saint Gemma looks over, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry, that's just stupid."
Yeah, there's
And,
different,
like,
like,
it was just like
levels.
she wouldn't give him any power over her. She
Yeah.
retained, her peace, and so that's one of the most principally important norms in the spiritual life is maintain your peace. And if you fall, don't get discouraged. Just get on up and keep moving forward. Know that God loves you and he'll complete the good work he began in you.
Cool.
Cool.
Sorry, we got messages while you guys were doing that, and I was distracted. So first thing, we got our first super chat. Thank you to Beyond Tuesdays and Fridays for your super sticker. It's just a picture. But
Cool.
it is,
Appreciate
we
that.
appreciate that.
That's our
Thank you
first
so much
ever,
for
I think.
that. Yeah. If you guys have
How do those
questions
work?
and you want to put in
Explain
the
to people
chat.
how those work.
Oh yeah, if you are on YouTube and you want to, donate to the ministry, you just click the little money sign next to the chat box and you can super chat. And we'll answer your question. I'll move you top of the line. Move everything else down and as a thank you, or if you just want to say thank you or send us a little animation of a lemon dude giving us a thumbs up. I appreciate that.
Right in our
So
day.
Hey, we'll take what we can get.
yeah. So, oh, well, Vera VEV, thank you for 199 super sticker. People are just sending us stickers. That's
Stickers are good. My kid loves stickers.
dude, I just have never seen people use super stickers very often. I knew it was a feature, but it's just fun that people are sending them. So we
I wish
appreciate
we
those
could
guys.
see what you see. I'd like to.
Can't see all these stickers.
Yeah, we can't see. Well, I want to see.
Sticker.
Well,
We're learning. We're all learning here.
okay, here you go.
Yay. Okay, good.
Oh wait, never mind. That's not it.
Okay, never mind. Okay.
Can't see a sticker.
I could do
this.
this. Well, hold on. You want
I
to
can
try
watch
something
on
real quick?
Slowly but surely here, people. We're doing it.
Well, no, you have to pull it up on YouTube. So
Okay, we can get back to the
Anyway,
questions instead of
let's get back to the
Okay.
questions. We'll
Where are you
figure it
going?
out next week. I think you guys need a second monitor, but that's
Yeah.
different thing.
Okay.
patrons.
Yeah.
We want another monitor.
Patrons.
Hook us up.
Patreon.com/Jason Everett. Also, if you're watching on YouTube right now, this is a weird thing. Before we get to the next question, if you wouldn't mind also opening the stream on twitch.tv/Jason Everett, like in a second monitor, even if you leave it on mute, just to help us with to grow that platform as well, that would be great.
Oh, cool. Good idea.
Um,
And I'm going to send
yeah.
you another cool Alaska
What are you
video
sending?
that we can show between.
It was literally like the Twilight Zone for me in Alaska. The sun never went down. I was in like a. It was hard
That sounds
to
awesome.
sleep.
I would
It
love
was.
that.
Everybody was so messed up when we got back from that.
I'm gonna
It was
live.
bad.
I'm gonna live
I was so sick when we got
above
back.
the Arctic Circle when the sun doesn't set, and live in the south when
It's a
the sun
whole
doesn't set.
world.
I'm just gonna chase the sun. I'm sure that's good for your sleep cycle.
Do you like to stay
all
up
right.
at night? Are you a night owl? Like
Oh
me?
yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah,
it was
yeah,
bad
yeah.
for me. I was getting like 2 hours a night.
Yeah, it's like 10
Yeah.
o'clock at night, and we're like, oh, we should probably feed the kids. And we look at the clock and like, oh, we should have been in bed an hour and a half ago, but you just lose all track of time as the daylight. So, okay, it's sending over to you now. We can
All right.
show that after the next question. So,
Sorry.
Okay,
Got distracted.
we got this question in our Discord chat. I have a difficult time making romantic progress with Catholic women in my young adult community, or on Catholic Match or other place, other. However, I'm easily able to make progress with non-Catholic secular women. By that it means it seems there's much more ease of connection, chemistry, and emotional availability. And non-Catholic women I've dated often remark that they cherish our emotional connection and authenticity. Unfortunately, my relationship with Catholic women always feel formal and stilted and performative and unnatural. It's all very, hi, how are you? How was your day? Without much spice. or playfulness. I don't want to make any generalizations about Catholic women, but I'm struggling to understand this pattern and whether I need to change my expectations or what is going on.
I
Also, I'm a
wonder. Go ahead.
I'm a convert, and I wasn't really brought up in purity culture, so I don't know the social rules, so to speak. I really would like to date Catholic, but it has often been so stale and lifeless. I would appreciate any advice.
Yeah, I wonder, and Crystal can chime in. I wonder, is it that the Catholic women are different? They're obviously different than secular women with values, this, that, and the other thing. But are you perhaps more nervous around them, and so you're less at ease? Because women have something, they have more mirroring cells in their brain, and what a mirroring cell is it helps give them the capacity to literally feel what someone else is feeling. And so if someone's feeling sad or nervous or anxious or whatever, the woman will not only intuit that the other person is feeling that, she'll start to feel it in her own body. Like she can actually, in a sense, absorb the other person's, not new agey, but energy, whatever. The woman's brain actually gives her body a capacity to feel what the other person's feeling. And so if
Like
you're feeling
womanly intuition.
no, but
right?
it's
not like
beyond
an
that.
energy.
It's not that
I know
you
what you're
just
talking
know
about.
what they're thinking and feeling. You actually
You know.
feel in your body.
Yeah.
Like he seems uptight. He seems his
Yeah.
eyes are darting,
Yeah.
and then you feel tense, and he doesn't even know that he's sending these signals, but you're actually feeling them.
Yeah.
And so all that to say, if you are more tense around the women, it might make them a little bit more tense. And if you're thinking, I've got to really, be careful in what jokes I say or this or that, like, maybe the tension is translating in that direction as opposed to you behave the same way and then the secular women just receive it better than the Catholic women do. So I don't know how big of a difference there might be in the way that you're reacting towards them without even realizing. But I would try to persevere through that, because when you choose a spouse, you're not just choosing for you, because the goal is not to find a girlfriend. The goal is to find a wife. You're not looking for a girlfriend, you're looking for a wife. And if you're looking for a wife, you're looking for the mother of your children. You're looking for the grandmother of your grandchildren. And so you're choosing for all of those future generations who you may potentially pick as a future spouse. And so that means if I have to overcome a little bit of awkwardness in the conversations and try to find someone who I do click with, it's worth the extra effort, even if it comes more naturally, perhaps to click with someone who doesn't share your religious values. Because even if that does come naturally, great. That's almost a danger in it, that what if this does work out and then I end up romantically connected to someone who just really doesn't share my values when it comes to morals or faith, and now we're trying to raise a family and she won't even come to church. She doesn't agree with the church's teachings on family planning or, a woman's role or a man's role, and it can just kind of create a lot of tension down the road. So I would say try to plow through it, because I meet so many young Catholic adult women who are looking for a guy who will actually initiate, actually hold a non-socially awkward conversation at a young adult gathering. Try to persevere in it. So that's my initial take. But what are you thinking? Because you might understand women a lot
Not
better
to
than
come
me.
after you on any level, but
But here comes.
well, no, I'm just there sounds like there's a little
He hit you on camera, Jason. I'll save it for later in case you need that.
sounds like there's a little duplicity even in your question if you kind of listen between the lines, because the spiciness that you're finding in the non-Catholic women, you're not finding in the Catholic women, because there's a level of maybe inappropriateness in that spiciness that they may not
He
take well.
he specifically said that he thinks that's why non-Catholic women cherish their emotional connection. I just took that out to shorten the question because it was so
Oh, I
long.
see. Okay, I was like, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, what are your intentions? And really take almost some self-reflection of, well, why do you really get uncomfortable in front of Catholic women? There's got to be more there than they're just like not they're not much. They can't be that much different. But if you look at the non-Catholic woman versus the Catholic woman, where's really that fine line in that difference? And what are your intentions? Are you wanting to get married, settle down? Are you wanting to just date right now? Are you wanting to just have fun? Like, a lot of it goes behind your intentions and how you're perceiving things in these different women. And if it is to go and have fun and just kind of hang out and have some like short-term connection, well, it probably will be with a non-Catholic person, because a Catholic person to a certain extent is going to have some boundaries and expectations and standards as to where maybe that worldly woman won't. And so you just have to look at your intentions, how you're going at this, and what your end goal is here. So
Yeah, it's kind of like checkers and chess. Checkers might be a
Yeah.
little more easy to learn and entertaining and fun, but in the end, the complexity of chess is going to be far more captivating in the long run. And so I think maybe the Catholic women could be more of a challenge, short term, but more of a reward long term. And so I would just try to make sure that you are choosing a spouse not just for you, but a godly woman for your children and grandchildren. And so keep persevering in that because maybe you've just met some girls in the young adult women that were a little bit uptight, stiff, and just tough to relate to
Yeah.
and socially awkward. Yeah,
That
maybe that just
happens.
legit is the deal,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that they all are that way. And so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Keep initiating love. Keep giving a shot. Keep risking. It's so important for a man to risk. I remember as I was writing the dating blueprint, one woman said, I can't even imagine being with a man who's not willing to take any risk. And so keep risking with the good Catholic ladies. And I think, God willing, in his perfect timing, the right one will come along.
Yeah, deep down your heart's drawn to that Catholic woman for a reason because you keep going back to it. So, yeah, just
Yeah,
take that
don't give up.
reflection. Yeah.
Don't give up.
Alrighty, we have a caller.
Awesome.
Hold on, CV. Gulf of America, you can go ahead.
Gulf of
Hey.
America.
That's his username.
His
What do you want me
username
to
is
do
Gulf
about
America.
it?
America.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I swear
Yeah,
since we
my
got back from Alaska, Jason can't say America. He's like, America. Like,
Oh, I mean, you can't see that many
great.
bald eagles in 1 week and not.
So great. Sorry to interrupt you.
no, that's fine. My real name's Trevor.
Okay.
Hey, Trevor. Thanks for calling.
Just 2 points. I'm doing great, thank you. God bless you both for the ministry, especially. I have a question. I also want to just thank you, Jason. I'm currently 17 right now, but 3 years ago you gave a talk at St. Norbert's Church in Pennsylvania, and that combined with reading kind of the books that you had really turned my life around. And I can now say that God has broken me free from the addiction, different addictions of lust. Um, and it's a wonderful gift as a young man for anyone who's out there who's struggling with that. I didn't think there was a way out. There is. Just keep throwing yourself at the mercy of Christ, and He'll pull you out. My question.
Well, but before you ask the question, what was
yeah.
most helpful to you in terms of strategy of breaking free? Just, because when in that midst and in that darkness, today's gospel reading is when God says, "What I speak to you in the darkness, proclaim in the light." And what that tells me is God talks to us when it's dark. And so sometimes he gives insights on how to break free that I think that we need to proclaim in the light. So anything in particular you think that you found helpful in your journey of freedom that you think other people should make sure to try?
Yeah, I would say uh, I would say a general point, and then one specifically Catholic. The general one is just specifically asking. There were times I desired it. There are times I really didn't, but just asking for the desire for purity, and just asking the Lord to, I can't change this. Just change my life, and just asking that He would do that, and come in and take authority over that. Give Him permission to do that, even during the times that you don't necessarily want that in your sinful passions.
Yeah. No.
That's just one practical. Developing a prayer life was huge for me. But just practice that. Have a daily prayer life. The other, which is a Catholic thing, it really transformed me. I'd say this is 2 years ago. It's about a year in. God just kind of sparked me to go to daily mass. I think pretty much every single day during Lent, and that something about that has completely transformed. It's made that different. There's also practical things like having safety software. There's ways around that, but just putting safeguards in place. For the long time, I had a dumb phone. I actually just got a smartphone recently, and
Wow.
by God's grace, I've been able to use that well and steward that. But those are general things. Just I would say, being able to say no to technology if you need to. Go to confession regularly. Go to daily mass if you can. I still keep up that practice as much as I can. And then just develop a prayer life.
That's good stuff.
That's awesome. And it seemed very humbling, but that's where you're really powerful when you're dealing with things like that and that God can really work. But you had Those are beautiful, humble prayers, but really strong
Yeah, just
in the
God give
moment.
me the desire. It's like St.
Yeah.
Augustine, like God make me pure, but not yet. Like he was giving him what yes he could, and God's like, I can work with that. I can work with that. So
And so many people want to break free from things. They say it, but they don't take the serious actions with that to do it like you did. I mean, you meant it, and you could see that with the steps that you took. So, congratulations. I
Yeah.
mean, that's amazing.
a friend was telling me yesterday about a new technology that just came out from a couple of Catholic guys called Shift, and then the other one is called Escape. Shift, apparently, what it does, and I think Matt Fradd had a video on this, and he's going to have the guys on Pints, that it takes your apps off of your phone and puts them on a computer. So literally all the apps that could access the internet or whatever just drop off your phone. So you can actually keep a smartphone, and then it just puts your apps on, whether it's parents' computer, your computer, whatever. So throughout the day while you're walking around, there's no temptation to hop on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and it doesn't become that much of a drain out of your life. So you don't necessarily need to get a flip phone. This Shift thing apparently is coming out. That is apparently very effective. But anyway, to your question. Sorry, we've been rambling a little bit, but happy to
Yeah.
hear the question.
And one other, just brief thing for anyone who's struggling with that. One thing that I found is it can be a misconception that, it might sound I had a magical moment. From then on, it was perfect. I am far from perfect in that area. Just in general, I would say specifically with things like looking at pornography, there's typically life's an uphill journey. You'll dip,
Yeah.
but then God will bring you higher the next time.
Yeah.
The last time I fell was about 6 months ago, but the distance between those times have been getting larger, and just I don't feel the bondage on my soul anymore. So just because you slip up, don't be too hard on yourself, and just always go back to God and ask His mercy.
Yeah. No, it's such a
My
good point.
question.
I was
Yeah,
we
yeah.
just led a wilderness backpacking retreat over in Switzerland, and we hiked to the tops of these just majestic, amazing mountains. But there was no mountain that we climbed that we did not spend some time going down. There's no mountain that's just the whole way. There's little ups and downs all the way up, but you just stay on the road. And after enough hours and one step after the other, you reach this beautiful summit. And so it's this perfect analogy. But
Yep.
yeah, your question.
Yeah. So this is
Before you
another
ask your question, buddy, can you just stay close to your mic? It sounds like you're moving in and out just a little bit, but go on.
Sorry, I do tend
No, you're
to
good.
move around.
So do I. So do
Um,
I.
So my question is just generally, I was wondering what your thoughts are specifically on how chastity looks different within priesthood, because I'm currently applying to seminary, and that's something I'm
Yeah. Are you still there?
Now we lost him completely. Maybe it wasn't his mic.
Hello?
Maybe his internet's
Oh,
going.
okay, you're back now.
Oh dear. Should I repeat it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
I just said that I'm just right now. We'll be done with that.
Sorry, buddy. You're gonna have to. You're going into priesthood. How does chastity look different in priesthood? Was there anything else
That was the
specific about
question.
that? You're just okay.
That was the
Yeah, you're
question.
just cutting in and out. So
Yeah.
No problem. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously chastity, as you know, is a virtue that applies to everybody, regardless of your state in life, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're a priest. And obviously for a priest, it involves not just chastity, but celibacy, where you're the hope of having a future wife and children and all those things is something that you offer to God as a sacrifice. And, some people are, oh, what a waste. It's like, well, no, when the lambs were offered in sacrifice in the Old Testament, or the tithing, the first 10% of the crop was offered to God. It was not wasted to God. You measure the greatness of a sacrifice by the value of that which is offered. What greater offering could there be than a wife and children to say, I'm going to forego this wonderful earthly good for this even greater supernatural good of bringing myself as a gift to the bride, the church, and having innumerable spiritual children. And so the priest is the sacrifice. That's what the priesthood of Christ changed from the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, the priest was the one who offered the sacrifice of something else. But the priesthood of Christ switched everything. Now he's the high priest because he is the sacrifice. And so as a priest, God willing, if you go through seminary, you will offer the sacrifice of the Mass, but ultimately, you're participating in the very priesthood of Christ, who he himself chose a celibate lifestyle. And so to be able to unite those aches that you have, because just because you become a priest doesn't mean any desire that you may have had towards marriage and family is just going to obviously disappear. And if priests don't know how to integrate that desire in a healthy way, in a sense that they're able to talk to other priests and have brotherhood and fellowship and share about, hey, it's been a really difficult couple of months, this ache is stirring up in me, and they're able to vent that in a healthy way to brothers. If they don't have that and they're just kind of caved in, that's when repression is taking place, and it leads to explosions and the loss of vocations and, priests is going off the rail. And so the difference between the priest who leaves the priesthood because of particular temptations and those who stays firm is not the presence or the number of that priest's temptations. I mean, Padre Pio was just besieged with sexual temptations. I mean, very vivid apparitions of the devil in a seductive manner as a woman showing up in his cell in the rectory, and it wasn't a sign that he wasn't a good priest. It was just a sign that the devil knew the value of his priesthood and wanted to do anything he could do to possibly derail that. And so don't think that because temptations arise that you pick the wrong vocation, or that, you're not living your priesthood to the full, but just to continually present those to God as part of the offering that you are. I think of priests as that little red sanctuary candle that sits near every tabernacle, and it just burns itself out in silence until just a puff of the wick goes up. That's the life of the priest to me, just staying close to the Blessed Sacrament until the Holocaust is complete, that you don't come down from the cross after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 2 hours and 59 minutes, but you wait until you're taken down from that cross. And so that persevere in the chastity of Christ himself is a gift of love to the church, to Christ, to souls. You have become this gift. And so that's what a vocation is, according to St. John Paul II. It's the decisive direction of the person in the gift of love. In what direction am I going to make that gift of myself? To the married life, to the priesthood, because whatever it is, you're making a decisive gift of yourself. And so you're going to need to persevere. You're going to need the sacraments. You're going to need fellowship. And obviously it's going to be fulfilled and crowned by God in a very glorious way in the life to come if you persevere. So any other thoughts?
One thing I think the world has a hard time grasping is whatever vocation God calls all of us to, he is going to equip you with the grace to fulfill that. No matter how hard, no matter what temptations come, he will equip you with the grace and to get out of that temptation or to overcome it. And the biggest thing of all in all of this is that you show up to your fight and that you keep showing up. You get knocked down, you keep getting up, you get up, you keep on and you keep on. And that's what you have been doing. And so it seems like he's already training you in that right now. So just know, no matter what vocation you have, you will be well equipped with the grace of God to fulfill it.
And just stay at peace with your vocation. I'd recommend doing one Hail Mary every day and just entrust it to Our Lady. Just keep saying yes to God and little things day to day in the faith, and the big yes of vocation will take care of itself in time. So no matter what, don't lose your peace. So God, what do you want me to do? This or that? Sometimes it's God's will for you not to know his will 5 years from now or 10 years from now. All you need to know is his will today. And his will is just to follow his commandments. And that's how we show that we love him. Persevere in that, and the future will take care of itself. Because you don't know, like Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, died at the age of 24, never became a priest, never got married, and is going to be canonized in early September. And so we don't know if we even have tomorrow. So just give him the day, maintain your peace, and God will take care of the rest.
Thank you very much. God bless you guys. We'll be praying for both of you.
I
Be
appreciate
praying
that.
for you.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.
You guys are not going to believe this.
Oh, no.
We got another call.
Whoa.
Everybody click the link in the description or the pinned comment and call in.
Oh,
Boom.
We're on a roll.
blowing up the
Johnny
line.
P. Yeah. Johnny P. Stock.
Ooh, I like
invited
these
him.
names.
Johnny, you're good to go whenever. You have to unmute, though. You are muted.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Now we're
Yes,
rolling.
I can.
Hello.
Hey, how are y'all?
Doing well.
Good. Thanks for calling.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, my name's not Johnny, it's Jonathan Paul. Name is
Jonathan,
kind of
I like
after.
Good
Yeah,
name.
yeah. I want to
Johnny
start by saying,
P.
I want to start by saying thank you to Jason and Crystalina so much for the theology of the body, just information and just sharing so much about love and responsibility. It has drastically shifted how I just interact with the world. So
Wow.
thank you so much for that.
I wish I could
But
take
I
credit for
have
writing either one of those things, but we're happy to pass it on.
Thank
right.
you.
It's just a beautiful body of work.
Yeah.
I have a pretty specific situation, and I just wanted to get y'all's advice on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a friend who actually went on one of the JP2 trails with you.
Okay.
And she introduced a little bit about TOB and love and responsibility to me. And then I just took it and I went and studied on my own. We're great friends. She's beautiful inside and out, very spirit led, strong Catholic faith. And I've asked her out and she said no. She said it was just a bad time. She didn't want to lose the friendship because things have happened in the past. And since then, we volunteer together every month. We see each other. She's about to start working like a couple of minutes next to me. And then she said, hey, why don't we get lunch every week on Tuesday? So I'm just curious on how do I kind of differentiate someone just being nice and generous with their time versus it being an invitation to grow in a friendship. I very clearly understand it's
Yeah, this
friendship,
one's,
but also I can't get rid of that desire to ask it out.
yeah.
Can I say something and then Jason can tell me why I'm wrong?
No, you can't, Josiah, but thanks for asking. You're just the call screener.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Please, Josiah, please.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say the harsh thing. Because I've been in similar situations as a young guy
Nice.
who's been in the dating culture. You should not do that. And honestly, it sounds like you're probably already spending too much time with her. Because if she doesn't want to go out with you, and you're sure your vocation is marriage, you're holding up your ability to find your vocation with the woman who God does intend for you to marry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that we love Josiah. Josiah is a straight shooter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Josiah.
Couple of thoughts in addition. I remember, what is it called? The Brad Pitt rule? Meaning, would she give that excuse if I look like Brad Pitt? And the idea is that what it does is it basically says, okay, she's straight shooting with me, that she's really overwhelmed when it comes to her time schedule and she got burned recently, and she just needs a little space right now to feel safer in the process before beginning courtship. That some women have been legit burned in the past by Catholic guys in the young adult group. And I've had girls tell me on, some of these, JP2 Trails trips or college talks I give, I went out with this guy in the Catholic, I met him on Catholic Match, or Catholic young adult group. And I couldn't believe the stuff that he was wanting to do after the first date. And I thought this guy was, uber Catholic and this and that. And so if she's had a history of really just getting burned and she's wanting to build connection, she's wanting to initiate something, but in a safe context to see if something's there, that could be taking place. So this is, option one is what Josiah is saying is like, if she wanted to be with you, she just say yes, and you guys would get the things rolling. And then that's the end of that. That could be absolutely the case, that I'm not really interested in the guy in that way, but I don't want to hurt his feelings. And so I'll just turn him into a male girlfriend, where, he can be my friend and we can share stories, but I'm not going to date the guy. That's rough on the heart for a guy who has feelings for a girl. It's like, look, I'm not interested. I'll be your friend or whatever, but having weekly quasi dates, I don't want a situationship, I want a relationship. Right. But if she needs that for a little while to start to feel safe and get to know you better, and then hey, well, I really think I do like this guy, it could head in a different direction. I just say that because I know a couple that's married in Italy where he asked her out and she's like, no, I just see us as friends. And then he waited a year, asked her out. She said the same thing, waited another year, asked her out. She said, okay, because she'd really gotten to know him better. Fell totally in love with the guy, and they're married and have a beautiful marriage and do theology of body talks together and all this jazz. Unconventional route, because typically when there's feelings, you move in that direction, unless one of two. She's just trying to be nice and she's really not interested in a romantic pursuit, or she's potentially interested in a romantic pursuit, but she has gotten burned and she'd feel safer entering into a dating relationship if she just got to know you a little better. And so the only way to know, is this true or is it not true, is to possibly go on a couple of these little things and see if they seem to be heading in a particular direction. And if they just seem to be stalling out and she just seems totally content here, and they're, I think there's like a chemistry, but like it's just seems like it's going nowhere, then have it define the relationship conversation. Like, do you see this heading in a particular direction? Because if you don't, and you feel firmly in that, and the time that we've spent together has not shifted your heart in the least, then I need to scale back a little bit just for the sake of my heart. It would just kind of be hard on me to have these weekly quasi dates without it really going anywhere. And so in that respect, I think what Josiah's saying is spot on. You got to take care of your own heart and leave the door open for other women who would be objectively and immediately interested in a relationship, instead of stalling out for 6, 9, 12 months on a relationship that kind of might just forever stay in the gray zone. But yeah, those are the options. She's trying to be nice to you, but she's really not interested, or she is potentially interested, but she just needs to feel safer before moving forward. But Crystal will give the official answer because she's a woman and she can understand the mystery of womanhood in a way that none of us ever could.
No. Jonathan, please tell me again, how did she respond to you? I just want to be very clear before I say
Like
it.
she was just busy and needed.
So the setup of before I even asked her out was I called her and I wanted to see her one-on-one to ask her out in person.
Yeah.
And she said, well, why do you want to meet up in person? Is it a date? I was like, no, it's not a date. I want to ask you out on a date. I just can't do it over the phone. She said she's excited.
Oh, you broke out. I can't hear you, Jonathan.
How dare you cut out? It was just getting interesting.
Jonathan, where are you? Josiah.
Okay, if we lost him, we have to go off the last thing. If we lost him, we have to go off the last thing he said.
Can you hear us? Did we get cut off?
Wait,
Josiah, are you there? Something's going on. Something's happening.
I see Josiah's cursor moving.
He can't hear us. Something
around
happened.
The Discord server.
Oh, something happened, everyone. I don't know if you could still see us.
Okay, he's typing in notes. He says,
okay, I'm
Discord is
experiencing difficulty.
How dare Discord?
Discord. I don't know if you're out there.
Okay, we're still live, I think he said.
Are we live?
Okay, so if we're still live and Discord is just going on the fritz, it's because
you are live.
We are live, people.
Hello, people
out there. Let's go off of that. The last thing he said is that he asked her out and she was excited and then got cut off.
See, I needed some explanation behind this.
Context.
Okay.
This could be a to be continued next week finish answer.
Jonathan,
I can hear you guys now. Okay.
Yay. Okay, keep going. I need to hear this before I speak because I don't want to give you the wrong advice, but I needed the whole thing. So just tell me what happened, if that's okay.
Yeah, she said she just was really busy with her new job and didn't have much time at all. And she had said yes to friends in the past. And then after that spark died between them, the friendship left too. And she'd hate for that to happen.
Do you see her kind of, because obviously as your friendship has gone on, you have probably flirted with her and made somewhat of advances towards her, and she knows that you like her, right?
I think since then, I haven't really gone out of my way to flirt, but I mean, like compliments here and there, but nothing overtly flirtatious, no.
Did she reciprocate?
It was always like, hey, I mean, you look great or something. It was never some super serious, super forward comment, if that makes sense. Because it was her family's been around. We go to this young adult thing, so I just didn't know how to say something a little too forward.
No, that makes sense. I just wanted to see kind of where your foundation was with her, because at the end of the day, when a girl likes a guy, you make time for what you want. There's always
exactly.
You make the time, and the fact she's like, "Oh, I'm busy." It was like almost a soft landing, so she didn't want to hurt your feelings. And I don't know her heart. I don't want to upset anyone or her. But at the end of the day, when a person wants to do something, they freaking do it, and that's the end, right? And you know what I'm talking about.
I agree.
She's asking him for a weekly.
But the thing is, at the end of the day, you need to guard your heart. She was very clear. She's busy right now. So, okay, you respect that. You step back and you don't start seeing her like having those weekly things. Maybe every other week or something, and keep your friendship going. But right now, because you know where she's at, you might want to just step back a little bit. And then either she is going to want to spend more time with you and start kind of like showing you she's interested, or you'll see, yeah, she wasn't interested at all. And it's best that I kind of step back and guarded my heart, because it's going to go either way. Because if she is interested in you, she's not going to just let you go away like that. She won't, I don't think.
Yeah, the scarcity of a thing increases its demand.
Yeah, she's going to kind of freak out.
Yeah, so if you do pull back a little bit out of respect for her. that
Yeah,
she doesn't
you're
wanna be
respecting her
pursued, you
time
know,
and
she's
what
busy,
she
whatever.
said. I know it may be hard though for you, but at the end of the day, I think it's better.
Yeah, and it makes you not look desperate, like you're waiting
Yeah,
on
waiting
her, like
around
you've
for her.
initiated it, and you know she's busy. Totally respect that. Here's your space.
Mm-hmm.
Then she might change the question from like, how do I create space to do I really want this space?
Mm-hmm.
And then and then hopefully she'll reciprocate. But I mean, so yeah, you've got a decision that you want to make of, okay, do I try one or two of these lunches and just kind of see if there's something up? And then all of a sudden, wow, what do you know? She does have a lot more time than she initially thought, and she feels more comfortable and goes down that road. But, I just know from a man's perspective, if I'm interested, in Crystalina, I make time for her. When we, early on in the dating relationship, like, I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I want to see her. Like you just make, like she said, you make time for what matters to you, whether it's prayer or hobbies or whatever. You just make time.
And you don't want to be a time filler and you don't want to be
No,
emotionally
no.
used. You know what I mean? And you seem like a really
Absolutely. I had
good
that
guy.
before. I hated it. Just
Yeah.
like Jason said, like a male girlfriend. Just like
Yeah.
not. It was just
You're not
what
a
a waste
buddy,
of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I've heard before that guys, like, there's physical and emotional usage, and guys are more prone to physical usage, and girls are more prone to emotional usage, where they want a guy that they can have be
Yeah.
like their emotional security blanket.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
so girls that are listening, let's shoot out a message to women. Women, shoot straight with us. If you're not interested,
don't play
don't
games.
come up with, oh, I'm rearranging my sock drawer on that evening, and otherwise I would just love to romantically pursue you, but the socks are all out of order, and so I'm just doing that for the next 10 years of my life. Just shoot straight with us. We're big boys. It might hurt our feelings a little bit, but we'll get over it, instead of wondering like maybe she really isn't. So you're saying there's a chance. Like,
Yeah.
just
Right.
shoot straight with us, because we don't want to be your male girlfriend, and it's hard because I know girls will think, but look, I want guy friends.
Yeah.
And every guy who realizes I'm not going to date him doesn't even want to be my friend anymore. And so I can understand where it's frustrating from some women's perspectives, where they would value male friendships, but if the male's romantically attracted to her, he doesn't want to kind of fill that role of male girlfriend. So there's, intrinsically could be some tension, but to me the answer is just shoot straight with the guys, so they can at least know where they stand, and that if the door is shut, that he can move forward, because we can't be a perfect match for everybody, and the sooner he knows that, the more the door can open up in his life to find the one who would be the right match for him. So do you want to help me berate women some more?
No. I would say just you know where she's at. She know where she stands. Black and white. I'm very black and white. Just that's it. Okay. And you're friends, but I wouldn't go out of your way to spend that time and be there and fulfill what it is you shouldn't be right now. I hope that helps.
I really
know it's
appreciate
hard.
it. Yeah, no,
Go
absolutely.
to
I
adoration
go.
instead. Go spend time with Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, adoration, daily mass, rosary, all of it.
Yeah, and you just sound like a really good guy, and I know that she's out there somewhere, and maybe she's not the one, but maybe you needed to learn how to restrain yourself. Maybe you needed to learn how to just have that female friend and have those limits and boundaries. I don't know, but at the end of the day, yeah, you don't want to be someone's just like time filler either. And she probably really likes you as a friend, and you're amazing, and she loves that. But at the same time, you want to be coinciding with your friendship, and you kind of not going this way, and she's pulling you one way. It makes it really difficult and confusing.
Yeah, and like I said, scarcity increases demand. And so pull back a little bit, give her the space that she wants, and hopefully that'll give her the air that she needs to decide, is this really the direction I want to go? So
does that help? I hope that helps, Jonathan.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was the beginning of Jason said something a long time ago, was worth getting rejected for, and that was definitely the beginning of that. So just kind of going out there. I feel more likely to do it again if this doesn't really work out. So
yeah, because either you end up with a date or you end up with clarity, either of which is better than being uncertain and alone.
Can't lose.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Thanks for calling, Jonathan. We'll be praying for you.
Well, thanks for talking. I appreciate it.
Likewise. So Josiah,
God
we're at
bless.
the top of the hour, a little bit past,
Yep.
so we got to wrap up, get home to the kids before they burn the house down. But I believe you've got the footage of the grizzly bear for those who've been waiting the entire hour. to see that.
I
You still have
did not
that?
get to set it up because Discord went out.
Oh, daggers.
Oh, we
People are
will
gonna
next
wait
week.
for next week to see the
We'll
grizzly
show it
bear,
next week.
stealing our
Sorry.
fish. But before we do wrap up, just want to again remind everybody, Crystalina and I are going to France, and we are inviting you, if
my
you want to come, to a wilderness backpacking retreat where we fly into Paris. We go to Lisieux to not only visit the childhood home of Saint Therese of Lisieux. I don't know if you know we're doing that. We will visit her at the Carmel and also the Basilica where her mother and dad, who are both canonized saints, where they are laid to rest. Then we're going to walk barefoot through the bay, the Grand Traverse, over to Mont Saint-Michel, which is this awesome castle palace deal island off the coast of France. On the Feast of St. Michael, we'll be at Mont Saint-Michel, camping out over there near the Priory. And then going down to Salem for a stay with monks, a contemplative 2.5-day retreat where there's the best Gregorian chant in all of Europe. And if you want to stay longer, there are additional packages you could add on to spend some more time in Paris and around there for the following days. Just go to jp2trails.com and you can sign up, and the trip's open to everybody. So people, married couples have asked, hey, can we come? Young adults, we're going to be typically a lot of young adult singles come on these things, but yeah, it's going to be towards the end of September. I believe a couple days in early October. jp2trails.com is going to have info on that one. And we're also in the beginning stages of planning one on Alaska, Kodiak Island, grizzly bear retreat.
Guys, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a male only,
Awesome.
much testosterone weekend. And so that one is in the works, but haven't announced the details on that one yet. Likewise, a ski trip with Christopher West to learn theology of the body while skiing with him for several days. Again, we haven't put that one up on the website soon, but just to give you an idea, Bobby Angel probably doing one of the Channel Islands. Lots of cool stuff going to be coming down the pipeline, but go to JP2 Trails, check that out. Go to chastity.com if you got questions or want to donate to the Chastity Project Ministry, or to become a Patreon at patreon.com/Jason Everett to help support the show here and to get us a second monitor, which Josiah seems to think that we need. So
I just have to say, who would not want to be at Mont Saint-Michel on St. Michael's feast day? Like, it doesn't get better than that. So if you have a devotion to St. Michael, which I do, or St. Therese, those are my two heavy hitters up there.
I'm going to see them both.
There's nothing, his feast day in his castle in France. Come on.
Yeah,
it
and then
doesn't
if you
get better than that.
And then if you wanna-
Gosh, the audio levels, you got to give me a warning.
Sorry.
Close your eyes, hear the drums.
Attack.
No, but then if you want to stay in Paris, you've got the Shrine
You
of
gotta
the
come,
Miraculous
Josiah.
Medal, St. Catherine Labouré. You've got St. Vincent de Paul down the street, Sacré-Cœur, where they've had uninterrupted Eucharistic adoration for more than 120 years. When all the lights went out in Paris, that power outage at the Olympics, guess where the lights stayed on? Sacré-Cœur, where the Blessed Sacraments had uninterrupted adoration. And that was right after the sacrilege that they did doing a parody of the Last Supper for the opening games of the Paris Olympics. Lights went out to Paris, Blessed Sacrament Church lights stayed on. Pretty cool.
You do not mock God.
Yeah, doesn't work well.
Anyway,
So,
okay.
But join us next week. If you got questions on your mind or didn't get answered, again, submit them to live@chastity.com, email them that way, or just join the Discord server. And please keep spreading the word about this, because, each show we're getting more and more call-ins to the point where, God willing, top to bottom, it's just going to be nothing but us talking to you live. So God bless you guys. Please keep our family in your prayers, and be assured of ours in return. Have a great week.
Bye.
Like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch, follow on TikTok.
And hit the share button, right? You said just hit the share
button. Hit the share button, click copy link. You don't have to send it to anybody, but you should.
Just share.
Pray for me too. God bless you guys.
Bye.